Donald Trump, the former stupid president of the United States, who faces 34 felony charges, yet shockingly, the Supreme Court grants him immunity. This unprecedented decision comes from corrupt justices he appointed, who have already overturned Roe v. Wade, leaving women across the nation without essential reproductive rights. Imagine a future where this man reclaims the throne. As the 2024 election approaches, Trump is on the brink of power once more, but this time he brings with him Project 2025, a dangerous and sweeping plan set to take effect in January of 2025 if he wins. This isn't just another political maneuver. It's a blueprint for dismantling our democracy, eroding civil rights, and destabilizing the whole world. What more stupidity can you expect from a fool like Trump? We call on every American to recognize the gravity of this moment. Our nation's future, our fundamental rights, and the well-being of our global community are at stake. Stand with us. Fight for democracy. Play your role and ensure that Project 2025 never becomes our reality. We have prepared this documentary to open the eyes of the majority of our citizens regarding danger of DJT. Donald Trump, the former president of the United States, who has been indicted for 34 felony charges, yet the Supreme Court gives him immunity, which makes him the first case ever, is very biased of the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court justices in which he appointed into office during his term also overturned Roe v. Wade for him, which has been active and women now facing illegal abortion rights bans. This same man is at the verge of becoming the next president of the United States, and we call on every citizen to do everything in their power to make sure it's not possible, because the newly introduced Project 2025, which will take effect starting from January 2025, if he wins, poses larger threats, and no one is sure of what might happen to America and the entire world after. In the heart of America, a shadow looms. A system known as Project 2025 promises change, but at what cost? Mrs. Thompson, was there something you wanted to say?
You see, Project 2025, it negates making America great again, just as the people behind it frame it to be. It's a trap. A trap set by Donald Trump and his cronies. Paul Dans, the director of the Project 2025, is the former chief of staff of the Office of Personnel Management, OPM, under the Trump administration. If they want to make America great again, the rule of law has to be the very base. But with the Project 2025, democracy is outrightly canceled. Before, our Constitution says the president is not above the law, but with the inclusion of Project 2025, a president like Donald Trump, if he emerges winner, can slap the label and name it as an official act. This is not a normal election. It's in fact Donald Trump's party, and if he is elected, the consequences will be catastrophic.
Donald Trump, the self-proclaimed ruler, has been indicted for 34 felony charges. A degenerate, a sexual assaulter, ally of evil, and enemy of freedom. Now promises a better future under Project 2025. But what does it really mean for us?
Project 2025 consolidates power in the hands of a few, leaving the rest of us vulnerable. It's a system designed to control, not empower. Elie Mystal, American attorney and writer, has quoted, Project 2025 proposes transforming the Civil Rights Division of the DOJ into a tool to fight for white supremacy instead of against it. It aims to do this by using the division to prosecute institutions and organizations that promotes diversity as violating the civil rights and equal protection of whites. And it's the logical conclusion of the conservative assault on affirmative action and DEI programs. Project 2025 is telling us exactly how the conservatives plan to take away the rights of women, people of color, and the LGBTQ community. The Project 2025 is a manifesto for how Trump intends to take over the legal structures of our nation, and it's really focused on the DOJ. Because the DOJ hurt Trump, and when Trump lost the election in 2020, Trump's bidding was not done and frivolous lawsuits were not filed against the voting machines. Trump would not have forgotten that. Project 2025 manifesto is Trump's plan to remake the DOJ into an organization that would do its bidding. Melissa Murray, Frederick I., and Grace Stokes, professor of law at NYU Law, added that Project 2025 proposes to redirect the Department of Justice's focus from white-collar crimes to violent crimes.
And let us not forget the future generations. What kind of legacy are we leaving them if we allow Project 2025 to strip away our freedoms and opportunities? In what world and conditions do we want to give birth to our kids, and what type of living do we hope for them to make from the system? If we say we should replace the president on the notion of a bad debate performance when he's an 80-year-old who has given a lot of time and dedication to this country, who is not convicted for any crimes, but rather has major accomplishments to his name as president in his first term. Moreover, history is full of bad debates performances. In 1980, Ronald Reagan had an awful first debate. Bill Clinton in 1992 against George Bush had an awful first debate. Donald Trump also put on a bad debate, not leaving out the fact that he remains an essential threat to American democracy, to our republic, to our Constitution, and all of our fundamental liberties. And now we have to choose between America or Donald Trump. President Joe Biden is old, not evil. He's had a bad debate, but he doesn't have a bad portfolio of ideas that would destroy the freedoms, liberties, and constitutional protections of this country. Ayanna Pressley, United States Representative, had said in a courtroom hearing that Project 2025 has hundreds of extreme policy to destroy the government, everything from a national abortion ban to eliminating the Department of Education to mass firing of civil servants to be replaced by partisan psychopaths. She continued by saying, much of this focus has been on agencies and executive branch, but it also implicates the judiciary, and the only way right-wing extremists will be able to ensure their policy are carried out is if the Supreme Court will back them. She added that Leonard Leo, chairman of the board of directors of the Federalist Society, is reported to be behind lawsuit for the Supreme Court to end Chevron deference. Then goes forward to ask Mr. Aronson, executive director, court accountability, could you explain why that matters when it comes to harmful policies from a conservative administration? And Mr. Aronson replied with, thanks, Congresswoman. I'm so glad that you brought up Project 2025 and its intersection with the court. It is no coincidence that the very same collection of dark money entities, over 100 groups that have sputtered Project 2025 and its sweeping plans to repeal the 20th century through installation of personnels and reorientation of our policies, are the same ones that have been behind the decade-long court-captured scheme, and agendas are connected in very direct ways that my co-panelists have sort of touched down in terms of attacks on the administrative stakes and in terms of plans to install almost monarchical vision of the executive branch, drawing from decades of investments and something called the unitary executive theory that members may recall from the Bush era, where it was advances to support President Bush's despicable torture program. Congresswoman Pressley rounded up by saying, well, again, Project 2025 is only going to be successful if the Supreme Court allows it, so Congress must act. We have to expand the court to create balance and fairness. We need to bind and enforce code of ethics to ensure accountability. We need investigations into Justices Samuel Alito, Clarence Thomas, Brett Kavanaugh, and any others with a record of prosperity on the highest court in our nation. We desperately need court reform to defend our democracy and save lives. In the point of personal privilege, I would just love for people to make it make sense to me that Justice Alito can't tell his wife what to do, but he can tell me what to do with my body. Make it make sense. My fellow citizens, we have to earn our finest hour, and I am confident if we wage this war on Donald Trump, relentless, unmerciful, and never leaving the fight, we have little or less than 120 days to go, folks. And if we do that, our terrible foe will collapse before us.
The war against reproductive rights has gone global, with American Christian conservatives targeting some of the world's poorest countries. If Trump returns to power, the checks that restrained him during his first term will disappear. In countries like Kenya, Mother Jones reports, and in her words, women in Kenya are using knitting needles to end their pregnancies. Blame Donald Trump. Virulent anti-abortion activity is not more than a few years old there. the result of a campaign by the Trump administration and ultra-conservative American groups to export Operation Rescue-style tactics to the rest of the world. Tools such as knitting needles, as well as women ingesting traditional herbs, crushed glass, or bleach to terminate pregnancies. These methods kill an estimated 28 women and girls in Kenya each week. Many more seek treatment for complications such as sepsis or organ failure.
Alan Spears, host Occupy Democrats, said, "Believe that we're in the midst of a second revolution or are getting closer and closer to a second civil war." And in this interview, Robert is a bone-chilling threat to left or anyone who dares to oppose them.
As we dig deeper into Project 2025, we uncover a disturbing truth. It's not just about control, it's about exploitation. During a Republican-led House hearing on the weaponization of the federal government, Representative Jasmine Crockett took on former top Trump administration official Gene Hamilton. In her words, she asked, "You wrote some of these sections of this mandate related to the DOJ, correct?" "Sure I did," Mr. Hamilton responds. Then she continued, "And the mandate outlines policy priorities for the next conservative president, is that correct?" "Yes, it does," Mr. Hamilton responds again affirmatively. She continues, "It also prohibits the FBI from combating the spread of misinformation and disinformation like Russia and China, who are actively trying to interfere in American elections. And Project 2025 is giving the playback for authoritarianism as well as the next dictator to come in," where Mr. Hamilton further agrees. In his words, "I am a proud contributor to Project 2025. This is against everything we believe in as a country, nation, and as a people. And the only way forward now is, this November, let us all make sure that Project 2025 never comes to reality." While Donald Trump lives in luxury, making arbitrary judgments over our lives, we face a future of uncertainty and struggle. Taraji Penda Henson, a renowned American actress, also expressed her discomfort towards Project 2025 as she lends her voice during her 2024 BET Award speech. In her words, "This is not chess or checkers. It's about making decisions that would affect us as human beings, our careers, our next generations to come. Did you know that it is now a crime to be homeless? Pay attention, it's not a secret. They are attacking our most vulnerable citizens. The Project 2025 is not a game. Look it up." Donald Trump cannot fool us with an already established slogan for an election, "Make America Great Again." That was Ronald Reagan's whole slogan in the 1980 presidential campaign. Project 2025 proposes centralization of executive power, attack on democratic institutions, targeting political opponents, plus media, social, and cultural agenda, environmental and climate policy pullbacks. But we are Americans and we are not powerless. Together we can stand against Project 2025.
It's time to say no to Project 2025. We deserve better. America deserves better.